42 years ago tonight, July 27th, 1974, 7:07 in the evening, the House Judiciary Committee sat in room 2141 of the Rayburn Building and voted 27-11 to adopt the first article of impeachment against a sitting president of the United States. 6 Republicans joined every single Democrat on that committee back in 1974. The charge, obstruction of justice. But it's the second article adopted 3 days later that I want to start with tonight, because most folks have forgotten what it actually said. It charged Richard Nixon with misusing the Internal Revenue Service, the FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service against private American citizens, turning the machinery of government, the very agencies that hold your records, into a weapon. Tonight, on the 52nd anniversary of that vote, I'm going to show you 3 stories, every one of them breaking today, that echo that exact charge. Not obstruction of justice tonight, abuse of power. Y'all, it is time. Let's go.
Standing for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Built upon the shoulders of the Constitution, rule of law, and the animating principle that we are all created equal. I need to hear a hallelujah, though I'm not considered a believer by some. I still believe in the warmth of heaven come. I need the rapture I feel when my feet touch the green, green grass of home. Then I know I have reached the valley of kingdom come.
afternoon, today's date, not last month, not last year, Straight Arrow News reported that the Consumer Product Safety Commission is demanding that hospitals across this country hand over emergency room records to a private contractor. Names, addresses, diagnoses for patients treated for broken bones, vaccine reactions, and read this twice, attempted suicide. Now, the Consumer Product Safety Commission's whole job historically is, dressers that tip over and children's pajamas that catch fire. Its own operating manual says hospitals should not include identifying information for the vast majority of cases. Only the fewer than 1% that need a real follow-up investigation. This new program blows past that, seeking identifiable data on more than 10,000 different conditions, most of which have nothing to do with a consumer product at all. The contractor, a company called Kanza Health, says it will strip out names and unnecessary details before handing records to the government. A law professor at Case Western told the reporter plainly, the whole thing is troubling. A former CPSC chairman, one of 3 Democratic appointees fired by the president last year, said the agency seems to be trying to suck in as much data as possible without much thought for what it actually needs. And here's the detail that should bother you, regardless of your politics. Federal law requires the CPSC to give public notice and take public comment before requesting information from 10 or more entities. They didn't. Some hospitals, Mass General Brigham in Boston, Harborview in Seattle, have already limited or refused to participate, citing patient privacy. Others haven't been given that choice yet. Next, the pattern that came before it. Now, I want to be honest with you. This is not the first chapter of this story. It is the latest one. And you need to see and hear the earlier chapters to understand the whole shape of it. Since May, the Justice Department has demanded that nearly every state and Washington, D.C. hand over election-related records and data, such as full copies of statewide voter registration lists and ballots from previous elections, as well as access to voting equipment. The federal government has sued 30 states and Washington, D.C. for not complying. Kentucky is one of those states the federal government has sued, as our own Republican Secretary of State has refused to release the privacy information of Kentucky citizens. Secretary of State Michael Adams and other state officials argued that handing over that data would violate state privacy laws and create a sweeping surveillance tool. 17 of those aforementioned lawsuits have been dismissed. The requests cover sensitive private information, such as driver's license numbers and partial Social Security numbers. Its collection by the federal government raises very serious privacy and security concerns and may violate state and federal laws. That's why our Secretary of State will not turn it over. Those demands by the Trump administration are unprecedented and a clear encroachment on states' power to run elections as outlined in the United States Constitution. This effort is part of the administration's concerted campaign to interfere with future elections. Clip that. Now, go back to last year. The Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, the outfit that President Trump and Elon Musk created to root out what he called waste, fraud, and abuse, was found to be compiling an unprecedented amount of Americans' personal data across the federal government, according to reporting at the time. At the Social Security Administration, DOGE and Homeland Security were accused of mistakenly marking more than 6,000 people, overwhelmingly Latino immigrants, as dead in the government's own records, in what reporting described as an apparent effort to pressure them into leaving the country on their own. Among those wrongly declared dead, a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, two 16-year-olds, four 17-year-olds, people in their 70s, one 83-year-old. Some of them walked into Social Security offices with their own paperwork to prove in person that they were very much alive. At the IRS, Homeland Security struck a deal to pull confidential taxpayer data for immigration enforcement, a deal so alarming to career officials that the acting IRS commissioner resigned in protest rather than sign off on it. At Housing and Urban Development, medical records, financial records, and information on domestic violence victims, information that had never, ever left the department before, got shared outward. And reporting at the time said the same DOJ efforts pushed for rules that could evict entire families, citizens included, if just one member's immigration status was in question. And all of that data, multiple reports found, could ultimately feed right into private surveillance platform called Immigration OS, built by a company called Palantir under $30 million ICE contract. We know Peter Thiel owns that Palantir. Taken together, the SSA, the IRS, DOJ, HUD, and now the CPSC, you are looking at a pattern reported across more than a year of federal data built for one purpose in one agency, quietly repurposed for an entirely different agency's mission, without the people whose names are on those records ever being asked. Y'all, if that is not a travesty, you let me know. Tom, welcome. Thanks for being on. Tom says, no federal agency that doesn't already have my deets as a matter of normal business doesn't deserve my records. So they can request all they want, but they won't get what they want. And I hope that that holds true. But Palantir's, oh man, its machine is unfortunately, yeah, way stronger than it should be. All right, next segment. So right now, we're finding that the Pentagon, this is our next story, the story 2, the casualty count that keeps changing. So this third story, and it lands the same day as the first today. The Pentagon has just restructured how it publicly reports Iran war casualties, splitting the numbers across 2 separate categories in its own database. One still labeled under the operations name, and a brand new, generically titled category called overseas operations casualties. The practical effect, you now have to go and find and add together numbers from 2 different pages just to see the real total from this war. Here's what changed. The updated figures show 18 Americans killed and 624 wounded since this war began in February. But the sharpest jump is since July 7th. The Pentagon now lists 207 wounded in that stretch alone, 142 more than it had previously reported. Democratic senators say the Pentagon's own spokesman had already acknowledged nearly 100 injuries since July 7th, weeks before this database quietly tripled that number. The spokesman rejected any suggestion of concealment as, his word, fabrications. An earlier Pentagon spokesperson had blamed the discrepancy on temporary data disruptions. And why does the July 7th date matter so much? Because y'all, the administration has argued that an earlier ceasefire reset the clock on the count and on the War Powers Act. You know, because that War Powers Act has a 60-day limit. So this president is trying to say, because he paused and started, now a new operation has started, that this can't be included in the Iran war. And now we're in a different deal, and there's a new body count. This is absolutely ludicrous. So this means, it's showing us, meaning how this casualty count gets sliced and dated isn't just paperwork. It bears directly on whether this war has quietly run past the constitutional limit on how long a president can fight one war without Congress's say-so. So I guess this guy is just going to have pauses, call it a new one, new operation, new war each time, so we can get right underneath that 60-day limit. This is ludicrous. I just don't know what else to say. Now, senators in both parties have challenged that reading of the law. The House has now voted a second time to direct the president to either end this war or get real authorization to keep it going. Now, y'all, I brought a picture up of one of the young women that this affects. So, Texas soldier was briefly omitted from the Pentagon's casualty database. Army Private Isabella Gonzalez of Carrollton was among those removed from the Defense Casualty Analysis System after being killed in Iranian attacks. The New York Times and the Pentagon have offered different explanations for why the name disappeared.
For her family, for the world. Isabella Gonzalez is a Carrolltonian. She's a Carrolltonian. She attended Hebron High School. She's a native here. Born in 2007, killed in action 2026, this weekend. Almost to the day after she first went away to boot camp. She was a teen, 19 years old. She was your typical high school student from Hebron High School, full of life, youthful exuberance, and a desire, as all new graduates are, to make a difference for herself, for her family, for the world.
So y'all, that's why we're sharing that. We cannot allow this to continue. This is absolutely ludicrous. Now, back to our talk about the Kentucky Secretary of State.
Kentucky's Attorney General is responding to a lawsuit filed by the Department of Justice. The federal government is accusing the Commonwealth of not producing its voter registration lists when requested. Kentucky is one of 29 states facing this kind of lawsuit. Attorney General Pam Bondi claims the litigation is to ensure transparency and secure elections. Secretary of State Michael Adams released a statement saying, in part, I will not voluntarily commit a data breach by providing Kentuckians' personal data to federal bureaucracy unless a court order tells me to.
So, kudos to our Republican Secretary of State. I'll say it here and I'll say it loud. Kudos, kudos, kudos. Thank you very much, Secretary of State. So, the obfuscation is just absolutely, it's ludicrous. It's beyond ludicrous. I'm just using nice words for it so I don't get dinged here on the channel, YouTube and Facebook and all the others, because this has got to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is if we put a stop to it. Just no other way to not get around that. All right, Tom. Tom says, imagine having read The Lord of the Rings and thinking that Sauron and Saruman were the good guys, and thus naming your invasive thing Palantir. Yeah, Richard Teal. There you go. Tom also said, obfuscation by the Department of War Crimes under the Secretary of War Crimes, also known as Whiskey Pete Kegsbrett. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks, Tom. All right, next segment. Y'all, like I said earlier, enough is enough. So here's my answer, and it's the same one 3 times over. None of those Trump surveillance goals legitimately require skipping the legally required public comment period. None of them require telling a family that their loved one is dead when he's standing in the office to prove otherwise. And none of them whatsoever require restructuring a casualty database in a way that makes the true cost of a war harder, not easier, for the people paying for it to see. And we're paying for this. So we need the truth. We need the absolute truth. You can want efficient government and a strong military and still believe the process has to stay in the open and transparent. Nixon's defenders 52 years ago made the same case. National security, efficiency, the president's prerogative to run his own agencies. The Judiciary Committee's answer on a bipartisan vote was that the ends do not excuse skipping the process. I don't think that answer has expired. So y'all, next segment, let's bring it home. Bring it home to Hardin County. So bringing it home because the whole lesson of Article 2 fits in one sentence. Power that isn't watched eventually gets misused. No matter who's holding it, no matter how good the stated reason sounds. And they say power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. And when you're not watching power, it's going to get that misused absolute corruption. So a fiscal court's business is supposed to be conducted the same way, in the open, on the record, with the public given real notice before anything big happens to them, not after. Now, at the county level, I pledge, I'm elected, I will never let good intention become an excuse to skip the public's right to know, whether it's a road contract or a data question nobody's asked yet. 52 years ago tonight, this country decided across party lines that even a president doesn't get to use the government's own record as a weapon against its own people or hide the truth about costs it's asking them to bear. I don't think that vote has an expiration date. Not for a president, not for a Pentagon database, not for a county fiscal court. Keep thinking deeply about that tonight. Tonight of all nights. So, y'all. All right. I see Tom, you've got one more comment here. Appreciate that. Tom says, kudos also to the federal judge appointed by the orange cacistocrat who agreed with the Kentucky Secretary of State. Absolutely. That is right on the money there.
Standing for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, built upon the shoulders of the Constitution, rule of law, and the animating principle that we are all created equal.
Y'all, this has been the Hillbilly Think Tank. I'm Spencer Keck, the Educated Hillbilly. Thanks for listening tonight to the Hillbilly Think Tank. Come to a fiscal court meeting. Bring your hardest question. Whether I earn your vote for magistrate or not, we will get that answer together. I will see you there. Keep thinking deeply, and remember that in Kentucky, united we stand, divided we fall. That is not just words on a flag. It is the glue that holds us together. Because if we love our neighbors as ourselves, and we recognize that, yes, we are our brothers and our sisters' keeper, then we cannot be divided and we will not fall. Remember, everyone deployed overseas tonight, tomorrow, as long as they're deployed, because they are in harm's way. No matter what kind of lying number they want to give us about the body counts and about the casualty numbers, about the wounded, we will accept nothing less. Y'all, bless your corazón. That is Spanish for heart. And this has been paid for by Spencer Keck. If you want more information, go to SpencerKeckMagistrate.com. No. Can't have much better than maintaining our democracy. Except us.
I have seen the dream of MLK come true. I have seen Martin's dream of justice alive and world when at Thanksgiving my family sits down to break bread together with folks of many different races, ethnicities, religions. My family sees Martin's dream and we only judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have seen the dream of MLK come true. I have trusted my life in the hands of many a black brother, a brown brother, and an immigrant brother in the military, and they have saved my life. Countless times I saw Martin's dream alive, and well, many times my destiny was tied with my brother's destiny. As we served our American dream in combat overseas, we did not care what color of skin our warrior brothers had, what adult sexual partner our warrior brothers had, or what religion they practiced or did not practice. Martin said, it must not lead us to distrust all white people from many of our white brothers. As evidenced by their presence here today, I've come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. I have tasted the bittersweet taste of freedom as I held wounded warriors of America, both in battle and when they returned home for treatment. I knew then and I know now, freedom is not cheap, but I heard it ring loud and clear. Even after the battle smoke cleared, this made true to me what Martin said. When we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every city and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, great God Almighty, we are free at last. Oh, brothers and sisters, I have seen the dream. The dream made us so great. Why would we shut out this dream from our midst now? I was told by another leader that America is the land of opportunity, but we see these opportunities dying with our dreams. Why, America? Why would we let the dream die when we were near the top of the mountain and had the whole world wanting to be us? Brothers and sisters, it is so much better to be loved and respected. That is real power. Now, we want to be the feared bully of our own people and other nations. In the past, I heard fools say they hate us because they ain't us. Now I say the rest of the world doesn't want to be us anymore. The rest of the world thinks we have lost our dangerous neighbors that will rob them in their sleep. This is not Martin's dream. Oh, brothers and sisters, I have seen the dream. The dream made us so great. I have seen the dream of MLK come true. I've seen Martin's dream of justice alive and well. When at the dawn's early light I heard freedom ring. Come all ye children sing, we must hear freedom ring. This is my American dream. Free at last, great God Almighty, we are free at last. Standing for life, liberty, in the pursuit of happiness, built upon the shoulders of the Constitution. Rule of law and the animating principle that we are all created equal. I need to hear a hallelujah. Though I'm not considered a believer by some, I still believe in the warmth of heaven come. I need the rapture I feel when my feet touch the green, green grass of home. Then I know I have reached the valley of kingdom come. And when I reach that valley, I need to see you there. Because we don't need a kingdom, we only need freedom. And we don't seek a king, we seek the brotherhood of man. And we won't fight for bondage, as we need no king or woman. We will stand undivided, because we will raise the fallen. Now I need to hear a hallelujah as we tear down the wall. The divide between heaven and earth is tears turn to mirth as we walk through the valley of death. And I draw my last breath. I know rapture I feel when I touch the green, green grass of home. Then I know I have reached the hollow where my ancestors roam.
Beans shipped across country in a refrigerated truck. And third, they take all that cooked and modern bush beans. Standing for life, liberty. great-grandfather didn't grow solid runners because he proved it. Because when the bank foreclosed on farms across the